Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Randy, you want to call the roll?
Carter Bowles.
Here.
Donnie Keaton.
Here.
Darrell Patrick.
Here.
Brandon Evans.
Here.
Leroy Phipps. John Will Stacy.
Yes, here. Okay. The first item on business is an industrial development authority ordinance, and we need the first reading of that. The proposed ordinance is, I think everybody has a copy of it. Take a few minutes to look at it, and
Could you tell us a bit more about it, John?
yeah. There, in the last session of the General Assembly, Carter, the General Assembly created a $100 million economic development fund, and it's there for counties who have an industrial development authority to access that money if they have an industrial project that wants to come and locate in their county. And it is accessed through this mechanism. And so if y'all saw the news yesterday, and it's been coming on for some time, Kentucky's economy is really, really hot right now. Really hot. I mean, it's like the second best economy in the nation right now. And people complain around here and everywhere else around the state that you can't find employees. It's because Kentucky's unemployment rate now is the lowest it's ever been in history. But yesterday the governor announced a $5.8 billion battery plant in Morgan County. That's $5.8 billion investment in the state. Now that's the biggest project in the history of Kentucky. And if you recall, Toyota was about a $400 million project. It was like 20% the size of this battery plant. And they're going to build another one about the same size right beside it. So there's going to be billions of dollars worth of investment in the state. And it's pretty evident that this will be similar to Toyota. There'll be lots of spin-off projects all across the state. And this is an opportunity for small communities like ours to possibly access some of that hot economy by us taking advantage of the mechanism that's set up by the General Assembly and accessing some of that $100 million. And so we can either do it now, or we can just sit on the sidelines and let someone else take advantage of the money. And I'm sure that other communities already are, but it's just an opportunity for us to do that. And I think we should right now while everything is hot and time is right.
Where would this be located at, John?
What? I mean, what?
This park right here that you're looking at?
Well, it's not a park, Carter.
I mean, not really a park.
All it is in this fund, and I'm hoping that Senator Smith will call in. He is in Pearl Harbor this morning in Hawaii, and he was going to try to call in if he had a signal. But he was one of the co-sponsors and supportive of this, of what we're doing. And so anyway, we hope that he can call in and talk to us about it. But he was one of the sponsors of this bill, and it's not really like a park anywhere. It's just an opportunity for the community. If we had an industrial development project, let's say some small employer or some small manufacturer, they were interested in some place in the community, that they could access money to help that company come here and develop a small manufacturing plant or assembly plant or something. And it gives us, it kind of levels the playing field with us, with a lot of other communities around who probably have more assets than we do, but allows us to have the assets to access some money to help them locate here, if in fact somebody comes here and wants to locate in our community, wherever it is.
Wherever it is.
Who wrote this ordinance?
Earl Rogers wrote it, and, but it is a,
Why did he write it?
because I asked him to.
You retained counsel outside of Morgan County Fiscal Court?
Did I? No.
Well then, who's paying Mr. Rogers?
Well, nobody's paid him yet.
Well, Mr. Rogers is a very successful man. I doubt that he's working for free.
Well, he hasn't charged anything for this.
Why did you feel the need to get an attorney without approval by the fiscal court to do work for Morgan County?
Well,
This isn't just this one time. You know, I've caught you numerous times going around my back and getting other attorneys.
can you tell me what those times are?
Yeah, the Freedom of Information request that you got Steve O'Connor to represent the fiscal court on, and then the fiscal court never heard anything about that. I'm talking about the resolutions that you. No, I'm talking now, and then you get to talk.
Let me answer one question.
You wrote resolutions. You wrote resolutions that's never been voted on by the fiscal court. Now you're doing a special meeting. Okay, you had more special meetings than regular meetings in the last 2 years. Now you're doing a special. Well, why do we need a special meeting? Why can't this be handled at our regular meeting in a couple of weeks? And why is the first time that the county attorney of Morgan County is looking at an ordinance is the day that you're reading it for the first time? And why is Morgan County have another attorney that's doing county attorney work that the fiscal court don't know anything about? Is it because you want to be the one that appoints all these people for 4 years? I could keep going, because we know that almost every board that you appoint people on is made up of you, it's made up of your daughter, it's made up of your son-in-law, it's made up of Lindsay, it's made up of people that you handpick without any talk to the fiscal court about. And now we are at December 6th, and something so important as you all know that if you vote for this, you're voting to take away power from the magistrates. You're voting to take away power from Morgan County, and you're investing it in a board that's not elected by anybody in Morgan County. And I can tell you, the reason this is done for an emergency is so that he can appoint them, but right before he goes out. That's every board that's happening. And it's happening right in front of your face. If this was such a big idea, it wouldn't be said at a special meeting on a Tuesday morning when nobody knows about hardly. We got this yesterday. I asked for a copy of it yesterday, John Will. Why can't I get a copy less than 24 hours before the special meeting? I'm the county attorney. I should be writing this, let alone reading it for the first time right now.
Now, you have a question?
I have many questions, and I just
ask now. Try to answer any question you have.
Okay. Why now? Let's start with that. Why now?
Okay. Well, I think the best reason, best answer to that, Miles, is that just what I had said previously.
We had a special meeting a few days. When was it?
Miles, let me answer your question.
Go ahead.
Kentucky's economy is really, really good right now. Now we have an opportunity to take advantage of that, and we could put it off, and we could shove it down the road, and we could do all that. But it's better to go ahead and do it while we have a good economy. And we had a big announcement, the biggest announcement by Governor Beshear in Kentucky's history yesterday.
So you think that we won't be able to do this in 3 weeks? You think that this whole plan will fall apart and only you and Earl Rogers, who is the law partner of your daughter, can get this done?
Is there a reason why we put it off?
Yes.
Why?
Because, John, you have proven that when it comes to appointing people to boards, you appoint those that are closest to you.
Well, you know, Miles,
You're doing this. This is a special meeting. The whole reason is so that you can put your people in here and run Morgan County for another 4 years.
no. Hey, Miles.
And special meetings should be for special things.
This is
emergencies.
This
isn't an emergency.
Well,
this is creating a board that the public
opinion.
deserves a right to know about. That Miranda deserves the right to write an article you know, for a little bit of feedback from the public. I see people here, there's not very many people here. The people here are diehards. They enjoy government. They like to be here and they like to know what's going on. But if you're working at Tuesday at 11 o'clock and you can't get off work to come see what your government's doing, and you just shove something through right as you go out, you don't have a mandate to do this.
Do you have another question?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Why do you think that you alone can go out and get another attorney to do stuff and to represent Morgan County in a legal matter?
Well, the truth is, Miles, is that we have asked you a number of times to do things, and they are either done in such a laborious manner, or there's no response at all.
John, I do the stuff that's legal. The stuff that you send over that's not legal, I don't do. And I find it hilarious that you say that I don't do my work when I show up every day, John. You show up when it's time to get your check. And everybody knows it. Everybody that's ever come to your office or called knows it. And now this is one last final swing to put your cronies in charge and to run it from the sideline.
Can I answer another charge that you just made?
Yeah.
You know, I can promise everybody here there'll be nobody. You mentioned my daughter, or my son-in-law, or some of those people. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you that nobody on my family or related to me will be on this board.
So you don't serve on boards with your family right now?
I said there will be nobody on this board.
On this one? Oh, okay. Because in the past, that hasn't been the case. So you're just going to change now. On December 6, 2022, everything's going to change, and you're going to start appointing people that know about stuff instead of, people that are closest to you.
People that know about stuff?
Yeah.
Are you saying that we've been appointing people?
I'm talking about you appoint people to things that have absolutely no experience in those things. The only thing that they have experience in is knowing you. This is ridiculous that we are sitting here at December 6th.
Hey, Miles, who are you talking about?
You can take a look at the boards. Miranda can print the names of the board members. Okay.
Tell me a board member. Tell me.
I'm not going to go into every board. Okay. Everybody, take a look at the board members here in Morgan County. Take a look at the last 4 years who's been appointed. Okay, just take a look at it. I'm to the point now. You all don't need to be scared of John Will, okay? He's almost out the door. I feel that for so long, everybody just went along with what John Will says. Everybody, you come out of the office, everybody does the same thing. This is usurping power from Morgan County.
Miles, this can be changed with the next administration.
It's an ordinance.
It's right.
You know the difference between a resolution and an ordinance because you've used them like an expert for 4 years.
But it can be changed by the next administration.
Why? If this is such a big deal, why can't the magistrates get to know more about it than show up and see something?
Well, if you give them an opportunity to ask a question rather than you looking at the microphone and trying to make a political speech.
I look at the microphone. You know how
they would.
You know how great that camera is. It's an equalizer. On your very first meeting, you had a text arrived at Mountain Telephone and said, "Come take out the cameras." It took us 2 or 3 months to get them back. It's a great equalizer. I'm glad the camera's there.
Now, do you have a problem with creating an industrial development authority, or you just have a problem with me? I mean, let's just lay it out there, Miles.
I have a problem with the lack of transparency, John.
Well,
this fiscal court knows hardly nothing that goes on.
This is an opportunity to ask any question there is.
Let's ask some more questions. Right. Who okayed the parking lot at the Wellness Center?
Well, we did.
The fiscal court did? Carter, do you know about it?
What's
It's under.
Do you know about it, Donnie?
It's what?
Under our.
Daryl, do you know about it?
Yeah.
No. Well,
it's under our.
I mean, I'm glad the camera's
You want to
there.
let Lindsay answer the question?
I asked the magistrates themselves. I don't need to ask somebody that doesn't have anything to do with Carter. Did you know? No, Carter did not know. You for 4 years, you've done exactly what you wanted to do. And you've just told people, too bad. I'm judge executive.
All right. You got another question?
There are so many questions that I have, John.
Do you have a question regarding this, Miles?
Yeah, let's go through with it. When did you start thinking about this, John? When was this an idea? Who born this idea?
Oh, I'd say months, Miles.
Months?
Yes.
Months.
Yes.
And we are at December 6th, and the county attorney didn't know anything about it. None of these magistrates knew anything about it, and he's been talking about it for months. This is where we're at in Morgan County. This is where we're at. Everything is so close to John Wheel, he don't let anybody else know. He just says, here it is, vote for it.
You have another question?
When? You said months. When? Was it July? Was it
I'd say July.
July? Okay. Why didn't you feel the need to clue everybody else in on something so important as starting an industrial board?
Well, we have been talking to people about it.
Who?
We've been talking.
Did you talk to Carter?
Well, we've been talking.
Did he talk to you, Carter? Did he talk to you, Donnie?
Probably months ago, but I have heard about it.
You have heard about it? Daryl, did you hear anything about it?
No.
I haven't heard anything about it. You would think that the attorney would know something about it.
Miles.
I don't know why you think that Earl Rogers is representing Morgan County. I don't think, how dare you even think that? Why didn't you come to the fiscal court and says, we need to hire an attorney to do some work for us? That would have been
Miles,
right.
I don't think it's unusual to get outside counsel.
You don't have a right to hire people without fiscal court approval.
I told you I didn't hire him. We haven't paid him.
Mr. Rogers is a very well-respected attorney. He does not work for free, okay? Everybody should understand that. Everybody. You gonna be asking the fiscal court to pay him?
No.
So you're gonna pay it yourself?
No.
Okay.
Here's what.
So Mr. Rogers just works for free. You're expecting everybody in this room to believe that.
Miles, now look, you can't ask a question and then answer it yourself, okay? If you want to ask me a question.
I've asked you questions and you evade them. You're very, very good at evading the questions that I ask.
Do you want to hear the answer to that last question?
I think everybody would want to hear it.
Good. All right. Well, here's the answer. Is that this board will need engineering services and they will need some legal services. And I think part of the action that we need to take today is to give them some money to initiate this board and pay for their legal services and their engineering and architectural services to get them started. And then after that, because they will have to have some money to access.
And the board will have to be set up too, right?
They will have to have some money to set up the board and apply for some part of that $100 million.
Does this board have any members yet?
Not yet. We haven't appointed them.
They would be appointed by the judge executive. That's why we're here, so he can try to have the ordinance right before he goes out, because he wants to appoint.
So the acquisition of land is in mind, because that's specifically what the statute says. The statute says the purpose of the board is for the acquisition of land. I thought I heard it said at the beginning of the meeting the acquisition of land was not in mind. But you just said that the fiscal court's going to need engineering services.
No, Daniel. What the purpose of the board is to allow the county through the Industrial Development Board to help a potential industrial project come to the county. And if it's acquisition of land, yes, that would be part of it. If it is extension of sewer, water, gas, or electric, that would be part of it. But the purpose of the whole thing is to help the community secure jobs for our citizens. If we have a company that were to come here and they wanted to locate and hire our people.
I appreciate you answering that for me. I have one more question.
Okay.
If this is so important to the county, why can it not be tabled until the next administration comes in?
Well, if it's important, why not do it now?
If it's important, the will of the people could be done through allowing the next administration to make these decisions.
Well, and what's wrong with this administration?
Because this administration lacks transparency in every aspect since you've came in.
Hey,
You have
Miles,
lacked
It
transparency.
lacks a mandate. You're correct, Miles. It lacks a mandate
Miles.
at this point.
Here's the document, read it. Take
I read it.
take
I
all.
see that you can retain counsel. I see that the judge executive appoints everybody. They're 4-year terms.
It's one page.
I've read it.
Okay.
And I don't think that it's in the best interest of Morgan County to enter into it where you get to pick everybody and your attorney outside of the fiscal court writes it. And nobody heard anything about this, even though that you've known about it for months. I could go on and on.
You have. You've done a really good job going on and on.
I can't even believe that I can't even believe that you would propose something like this.
Well,
Out of nowhere. We just had a meeting. When was the last meeting? We just had a meeting not too long ago. Why wasn't this brought up? Why wasn't you say anything about it? Why haven't you have my cell phone number? Why didn't you tell me anything about it?
Miles, I'll be honest. If you want me to just be truly honest, we can call you and you might not get back to us for weeks.
It's hilarious that it's funny that you say that because everybody else that drops by my office sees me there all the time. Everybody that drops by this office says, go talk to the county attorney. John Will's not in today. The things that I don't do, I do a lot. But the things that I don't do because it's not in the best interest of Morgan County.
Well, I don't know that, Miles, because
How would you know, John? You never talk to anybody.
You're very hard to contact.
Carter, my hard contact, we can go down the list. You have my cell phone number. Everybody has my cell phone number. I don't see any missed calls from you.
But having your cell phone number and getting you return a phone call are two different things.
So John, I've always returned your phone call. You saying that doesn't comport with reality.
Okay. Look, Miles, I respect your position as county attorney. I do.
If you did, then you wouldn't be having another attorney do this.
Look, there is not one thing wrong with the county or this board hiring outside counsel. You know that, and Daniel knows that, and everybody knows that.
If you had the authority to do it, you could. You didn't have the authority to go hire somebody.
If there is a statute that says that we can't hire outside counsel.
When you say we, that's the fiscal court. That's not you, John.
If there is a statute that says we can't hire outside counsel.
John, there is. You have to go through the fiscal court to get approval, and I will show you.
All right. Well, we are. Luckily, that doesn't apply here because we're not hiring outside counsel. This board.
There's no attorney that works for free, John.
You're arguing apples and oranges, Miles.
No, you can say all these little sayings you want to, but everybody's seeing what's going on. And if you all vote for this, you're voting to take power out of your all's hands and put it in his hands for the next 4 years.
I'm not going to be on the board, Miles. I'm not going to have anything
You're
to do with it.
appointing the people on the board.
And if you will read it, Miles, take a look at it. It says the board shall be comprised of 6 members appointed by
the judge executive.
All right, let me read it.
Who would be the judge executive?
Let me read it. Members of the board shall serve 4-year terms with initial appointment as follows. 2 members shall be appointed initially for 2-year term. So the next judge will be able to come in and appoint 2 new members. 2 members shall be appointed for initial term of 3 years. So he'll be able to appoint those 2 members. And then 2 members shall be appointed 4 years, and he'll be able to appoint those 4 before he leaves office. So the next administration will be able to completely change it to his liking. It's not that it's mine or anybody else's.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Well, I'm just sorry.
It's like a president gets to pick all the Supreme Court and then say, well, in the future it'll be changed a little bit.
Miles, I didn't set it up that way. That's per the statute.
I understand that the judge executive gets to pick. That's not my argument. My argument is it's December 6th. You've known about this for months, and this is the first time everybody's hearing about it.
All right. So what's your problem with that?
Don't trust people that keep things in the dark.
If I had done
That's what my papa always told me.
If I had done it 6 months ago, would you have a problem with it? Why?
Well, no, because I'd have known something about it.
What?
I would have conceivably written it. We would have talked to people. We would have understood.
It is 1 page. You're an attorney. You can figure that out.
The very fact that there's a word that I haven't reviewed is bad. And you're saying, oh, it's just a page. What's your point?
Just look at it, read it.
I've read it.
Well, all
You
right.
keep saying read it.
Do
I've
you
read
have
it.
a problem
The-
with
the-
do
the
you
way
have a
that it-
problem with the meaning of this document?
I have a problem that it exists without me ever knowing about it, and you going around my back and getting another attorney. You going around the fiscal court's back. You going around Morgan County's back and getting another attorney and doing all these things that you
Miles,
do.
Now, you know very well that there is no problem with that.
I just said there's a problem.
You just
So
said
don't
there's a
belittle
problem.
my
There
concern.
is not a problem with that.
There is a problem.
No, there isn't.
There is a problem.
Miles, I promise you there's not.
You retain counsel without the fiscal court knowing anything
No.
about it or having a vote.
No,
You retain counsel.
no,
When a lawyer does work for you,
No.
that's retaining counsel.
no.
Hey, Daniel, when's the last time you were doing work for free for people?
I do work for free.
There
but I
you
do
go.
it under contract.
Under-
That's what I want to know is who signed the contract with Earl Rogers.
We don't have a contract with Earl Rogers.
Well, there's an attorney-client relationship with Earl Rogers.
Well, there may be a relationship, but there is no contract, Daniel.
Well, the other question I have too is I believe that it's abrogating the authority of the county attorney because I think the county attorney has the first authority to review these matters with the fiscal court.
Well, I know that's a nice legal theory, but I doubt that is required because we do have the authority to acquire outside counsel.
You say we.
If we
Who's
chose
we?
to.
Who's
If
we?
we chose to.
Who's we?
But we haven't acquired outside counsel.
You keep saying we like the fiscal. Are you meaning you?
You all keep you keep saying that we.
Who's we, John?
You.
Me? I'm not
Yes.
we.
Yes.
You said we have a
You're
right
the-
to retain counsel.
You're the one that's saying that we can't do that.
Without a vote by the fiscal court. When you say we,
I'm
if the
not-
fiscal court says we want Earl Rogers to draft
Miles.
something, I have no problem with that. But I do have a problem with John Will calling up attorneys and saying, I need you to do something, don't tell anybody. And that's what happened right here.
Can I ask a question?
Who said that we didn't? We said don't tell anybody, Miles.
Well, nobody knows about it, John.
Well, here it is. It's one page, Miles. Read it.
You keep saying the same thing like it matters.
Well, I don't know.
You say it's only one page,
Do you
Miles.
have a problem with the document itself?
I have a problem with the execution of the document, yes.
What is your problem with the document itself? That's. I think everybody'd like to know that.
My problem with the document is that it's December 6th, and this is the first time I've seen
No,
it. And
you
it's
have,
gonna,
you have a problem with the timing. Now, do you have?
It invests power in you.
Do you have a problem with the document itself, Miles? It's a very simple question.
I have a document. There's many ways to be against something, okay? I have a
No.
problem with the process.
No. All right. You don't like the timing. Now, do you have a problem with the document itself?
I have a problem with the process.
All right. So you're not going to answer that.
I answered it for the 5th time. I have a problem with the process. I have a problem with the county judge executive not telling anybody anything, going to get other attorneys, showing up and wanting to appoint a bunch of people and start a board right before he leaves office in a shadow government type of situation. That's the problem that I have, and I think I've made myself very clear. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for Morgan County. I'm doing it for the ability of the next group of magistrates and judge executive not to be hamstrung
$100 million land.
by all this secret stuff that's coming out. This is ridiculous.
Can you support him? Ask him, Lindsay.
Anything hits the county, I'm for it.
Okay.
And this says just the first reading, so it says no action needed.
Right. Miles, you.
No, I know that there's not a vote on today. I'm giving you the forewarning of what's coming.
Miles.
And if you all vote for it,
Hey,
if you vote
Miles.
for it, that's up to you. I don't have a vote, but I can tell you, when you
Miles.
vote to take away your own power, that's not very smart.
Hey, Miles, can I just suggest something?
You're going to, John. Go ahead.
Good. Look, we respect the office of the county attorney. Now we do. Nobody's saying we're going behind your back, and nobody.
You don't have to say it, John. You did.
All right, Miles. Will you let somebody else
You
speak?
did
please?
do it.
Let somebody else
Talk
speak.
all these fancy words you want. You
All right,
did
let's
do
let
it.
somebody else
It's
speak.
rhetoric.
Let's let somebody else speak for a minute. Now you've gone on and on and on. So give every one of the members here a chance. Look, you have done everything but admit that you really have a problem with the document. You don't like the timing. You don't like some of the things I may have done in the last 4 years. And I'm not asking you to like everything we did, but apparently you don't have a problem with the document itself.
That's not true, John.
And so, if you're going to have a few days to look that over. And if
A
you-
few days, that's great.
And if, well, how many days do you need to look over?
I'd like to have had as long as you, John, since
Well,
July.
I'm sorry, it's not going to be that long. But,
Exactly, because you need it done now.
Well,
Because
of course
you have
we
to
want it
set this
done
board
now.
in place right now, don't you?
We want to.
Do you see, people? Do you see?
Miles, come on now, that's being childish.
It's being childish
Yeah.
that I'm calling you on your lack of transparency. John, why do we have special meetings instead of regular meetings all the time? Do you want to tell the people or do you want me to?
You probably say whatever you want, so go ahead and speak to
Okay.
yourself.
So in a regular meeting, everybody that wants to show up can speak. The magistrates can bring up an issue. Everybody, you can talk about what you want. We've got the road up here. It's got some potholes we need fixed. It's pretty much wide open. You handle your business and then you handle any open business.
Miles,
John
can you
will
stick-
cancel
can you-
a meeting.
can you
He'll
stick
cancel
to the
meetings,
issues?
and then he will issue another special meeting the very next day. Most people don't understand the difference between a regular meeting and a special meeting. A special meeting, the only person that can bring up stuff and put stuff on the docket is that man right there. That's why that you don't have regular meetings anymore. You have special meetings. Is because he wants to control everything that's talked about. And he knows that he can hide behind the special meeting and say, well, we can't talk about that.
Now, Miles, do you have any problem with the issue at hand now? Really?
I have a problem with you making any decisions that are this big right before you leave office. And I think everybody knows why.
Well, why don't we just make the term of judge 3 years and 11 months rather than 4 years?
Yeah, let's
I mean,
do some great talking and smooth talking, and let's just try to gloss over the fact that nobody here knows anything about this until
Miles,
today.
look, if you've got a problem with the document, just look at it, let us know what your problems are with it, and we'll be glad to, if it complies.
If you all vote for this, people will remember
Miles,
it.
will you let me speak, please? If it complies with the statute, we'll make those changes. The only thing we're trying to do is follow the statute.
Mr. Rogers will make the changes?
Look, anybody can make the changes if it complies with the statute.
May I address
Okay.
the,
Yes, go ahead.
on the ordinance, my question is, as far as the appointments, are there any requirements, as in you want to represent so many people out of the business sector? Do you want to have so many people out of the utility sector? Do you have anything that says that you're going to have even the city recommended? There's nothing in there that you want so many out of the city versus, you know, I'm coming here as not only a citizen but also in the context for the how you comprise your authority. Just asking, you know, is there going to be some instruction on what their duties will be, because I don't think it's in there. And then the mention of money, would that not be, and I'm asking that because I'm sitting back here trying to put it all together, would it not be the authority of the Development Authority Board to request that money that you were talking about? We have money that we need to invest so they can do their job. Would it not be the board's job to request that money as they need that, if we've got a company that is that we would like to introduce into the county? And then there's going to be that same thing we're talking about acquisition. Probably, of course, we already know as working that, you know, we're limited in space, but if there's whether it's building batteries or building knobs or whatever, would it not be, I'm asking this, would not be the responsibility of that board to come to the fiscal court to ask the money? That's the only thing I'm asking.
Mark, I think that's a good question, but I think that it could work that way, but I think it will be a little better if we set a sum certain for them, and we allow them to access that money, because just the application process, if let's say that some small manufacturer chose to come to the county, the application process and the engineering and architectural work and probably some legal work too, there'll be some cost in associated with that.
Well, I'm just thinking
And so
on
we-
the treasurer's
we
side,
could-
it'd be a nightmare to go ahead and appropriate that over here, and then you've got 6 people that's gonna have to make a decision. Where's that poly money, what that poly money is gonna be doing until 6 months to a year. So wouldn't it be great to
We're-
have
we're-
a
well,
company
Mark,
come
we're
over
only-
here with 6 months?
We're only thinking about giving them like $10,000 to match those fees, that possible fees that they might have. You know, I don't think it'll be much. I've talked with, have you all looked at the handout from MS&E? They do the work for a lot of industrial parks around the state. They do the one for the industrial park in Moorhead, and Glenn Ross is a partner in that firm, and he said he didn't think it would be more than about $10,000 in fees and costs to make the application process for some money if we had a business that wanted to come here. And so that's just, I didn't draw that figure up out of my head. That was what was recommended by MS&E.
Court, I'll ask a question. Would it be out of place for me to recommend that at least 2 of those positions be appointed by the mayor of West Liberty? Because you and I both, let's change that to the judge executive and the mayor. We appoint a lot of boards in conjunction with each
Well,
other.
I'll tell you what, Mark. This document complies with the statute. It says that the judge executive makes those. Well, wait just a minute. Let me explain. It makes those appointments, and I will make the first set of appointments. Then the next county judge, over a period of 4 years, they'll turn the whole board over if they wish, and they may like the board and they may want to keep it, but in compliance with the statute, I mean, I'll be glad to take recommendations and hear who you wish. But I think in compliance with the statute, I don't think we can agree to let someone else other than the county judge do that, because that would be out of compliance with the statute.
Judge, when do you plan on holding the meeting where this will be voted on?
I really don't know exactly, Daniel, in the next few days.
So it'll be another special?
This is,
Don't you think it'd be appropriate to give the public sufficient notice so the public can be here and give feedback?
It will be advertised in the paper for at least 7 days, along with the budget ordinance that I'm doing, and the next meeting date will be advertised with that.
Why not schedule a general so that the public can have a couple weeks to be here?
I mean, we could have as much time as we want, Daniel. Are you worried about the timing of it, the length of time, the actual notice?
Well,
What is your actual concern?
I share my
Well,
office
let
concern.
me ask you one other thing.
Yes.
Is even if it is a special, if you're concerned about this, that would be what the whole meeting would be about. Would be about that. So there would be plenty of notice, and this document and this action would be what would be discussed.
But in general, the public has a right to speak. They don't have to ask.
Well, we're going to let whoever shows up here speak.
There is enough time between advertising and the requirements to do the second reading at the next regular meeting.
But look, I don't think we've ever not let anybody speak that comes to a meeting that wants to speak. I don't think we've ever done that, have we?
yes.
Really? Who was that?
On your special meetings, if you don't want to talk about something, you just tell them that it's a special meeting and you can't. If it's something you do want to talk about, then you go ahead and talk about it.
Well, can I ask every member here, have we ever turned anybody down from speaking? I don't recall that.
Hey, guys, remember conversations you've had with me where you wanted to talk about something and he wouldn't put it on the docket? Remember those conversations? I've had them with you, Carter.
No,
I've had them with Leroy. I've had them with Sheriff Motley.
You're talking about two different things, Miles.
No, I'm talking.
We're talking about whether we put it on the agenda or at a meeting we let everyone speak. Those are two different things.
They are two different things, John,
Okay.
but I think they go hand in hand. If you want to talk about something, you talk about it. If you don't, you don't.
All right. Does anyone else Come forward, please.
I'd just like to make a suggestion. Each and every magistrate here should contact their constituents and talk to them about this ordinance before you vote on it.
Can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Come on up here where we can, and tell
I
us
said I'd like to make-
tell us who you are too,
My name
please.
is Sherman Smith.
Hi, Sherman.
I'd like to make a suggestion that each and every magistrate contact your constituents before you make a decision. Because myself, I don't think this is one that should be done by this administration, okay?
Sherman, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You know, if you have a concern, who is your magistrate?
Brandon right here.
Okay. If you have a concern, you talk to Brandon.
I will.
And,
I'll be talking.
but, well, let me tell you one other thing.
Go ahead.
It would be almost impossible for each fiscal court member to contact all of their constituents.
Not if they're given time.
Well, wait just a minute.
It's the time thing again.
Well, that's the,
But this is all right. I mean, I see what's going on here, and if you all don't.
Sherman, that's the importance of notice, is you give everybody notice, and everybody
Just
looks.
like he said,
everybody
6 months
looks at
ago
it.
would have been a good time.
Everybody looks at it, and then they can contact their court member.
That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Why does it have to be you that appoints everybody?
That's what the statute says.
No, I'm
I didn't
not,
make
I'm
that
not
up.
talking, I'm not talking about the statute. I understand the judge executive. My
That's somebody
question
else
is,
speaking, Mom.
why do you need to be the one that does it?
Why not?
Why not?
Because I'm in
Why
office
not?
today. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Dale Oakley, gray-headed old man.
Hi, Dale.
I just have a question, it may have already been mentioned, but I was late getting in here. We've got an incoming judge magistrate, and we've also got a couple of magistrates. Have you sat down and discussed this with the new judge executive?
No.
And had any conversation with him about who's going to appoint these people? And you're not wanting to allow him to have any input?
Dale, that's, okay.
And are you going to maybe saddle him with somebody that he can't work with? Can we not have a smooth transition of power? Isn't that how this is supposed to work? It would seem to me that we're going to have a government to run this county, that it ought to be a smooth transition from one power to another. And if we can't have that, we've got a real problem. And I don't understand why we can't have I'm just an old country boy here. I just don't understand why we can't have a smooth transition of power, why it has to be this way. Why haven't you sat down with Mr. Gazay and discussed this with him? And has you not even mentioned it to any of the incoming magistrates that's coming in? I have trouble comprehending that in my old feeble mind here. I'm just an old man that sits on a hill.
I know you pretty good.
But it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
to
you're
do
just
this.
playing this old country stuff. I know you're pretty sophisticated now.
You got that part right. Don't miss the thing, do I? Don't miss the thing. And I haven't missed the discourse that's here today. Okay, I haven't missed that at all.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have.
Well,
this.
can I answer your suggestion?
I'm real gabby, We can't have discourse in running any government.
I agree.
Because this is why we're in the problem we're in the whole United States today, is so much discourse. And
I agree.
normally
I
can
agree
address
with you,
these
Dave.
guys out here, because I know you're just one.
Well, can I-
I don't need to hold this thing back for a while.
Well, let me, your comment is already contemplated in the statute. I'll tell you why. Is because when the General Assembly set this up, they were the ones that said, this is how you're gonna stagger those terms. And so the first 2 years, the new administration gets to apply, change 2 of them if they choose. The next 2 years, they get to change 2 more. And it is a smooth transition on this board from one fiscal court to another.
That doesn't
And so-
excuse common courtesy, Mr. Stacy. Common courtesy said
Well,
you should sit down with these other people and talk to them. That's just
I
common decency.
didn't
to do
make
that.
the rules, and I didn't write the statute.
You don't have to follow that rule.
Oh, yes, we do,
You can't
too.
contact Jim Kazay and the other 2 people coming in and have a smooth transition of power. There's nothing that says you can't do that. and I'm smart enough to know that you don't have to do that.
Just because
Okay?
it's legal doesn't mean
But you
it's
are
right.
doing it, you don't have to.
What?
Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right.
That's exactly right.
I cannot believe that coming from a lawyer.
Well,
Believe
here's
it.
all I know, guys. I see discourse, we shouldn't have any discourse, and if you can't have a smooth transition, if I shut this thing down myself. You know, nobody here's done me wrong, not one of you. But I don't see this, I don't see it at all. The other question is there anything here, Mr. Miles, that they're gonna do that can't be undone later?
When you create ordinance, there's obligations that you create, okay? The board would be created, there would be a contract, there would be bylaws, there would be all these different things that you'd have to do. It's almost impossible for a person to be able to predict what those bylaws and all those articles in the corporation would be. They could be put in there where people would have liberty rights that they couldn't just lose their boardship unless they did something wrong. So
Dale.
yes, I do think that it would take time. If it's possible to shut it down, it would take time.
Dale,
Okay, here,
I can
say this
I
right
can
quick,
answer,
Mr. Miles.
Dale, I can answer that question for you. The next fiscal court can change any ordinance that this fiscal court has.
When you create a contract, one side can't just get out of the contract. Okay? So if a fiscal court votes to do something and they enter into an obligation with third parties, you can't just say, okay, next fiscal court says, no, we don't want to do that. Because there's obligations.
Contracts always goes both ways. Each side's got to decide they got to do. Okay, but life has taught me, 77 years worth of life has taught me, it's always the way to undo things.
That's right.
I do have a question.
All right.
On this board, would the fiscal court have any power, for instance, if they was to acquisition a piece of property, would they be the ones that, on that board, making that decision, or would we also become to the fiscal court to do the final decision on that, on anything that they do?
Well, the way this works, Carter, is that if the Economic Development Cabinet or one of these economic headhunters, these locating firms, were to come to the county or the Industrial Development Board and say, we have a company that's interested in coming here, then if they want to access that fund of money that the General Assembly created, then it has to go through an Industrial Development Authority, and that's just by statute. I mean, that's nothing that somebody just thought of. That's the way the statute is, and that's the only way you can access some portion of that $100 million.
And having the board?
Yes.
But I was just talking
Yeah.
about the things that they vote on in that board. Would it have to go to the fiscal court, or is that just set that way for?
No.
It's just them.
It's them. It's people who are not elected, Carter, get to decide.
Yeah.
Morgan County don't even have our own property back. Real properties is tied up in lawsuits.
Judge Stacy, would it be
Yes.
possible to pass the ordinance and allow the appointment of the board to be done by the next administration?
He's not going to do that.
Well, I don't want to do that.
He's not
But I mean, I guess that is.
That's the whole point.
Honestly,
Okay.
Daniel, that is going to be done. I mean, we all know that. You know that the next person, if he wants to change that board a little bit, he'll have
But they have to
all
wait 2
four.
years to change the board.
And then only
Well,
partially.
he has 2 years to change the first two, and then another 2 years to change, and over a period of 4 years, you could turn it all over if you felt like that was the right thing to do. Carter, did we get your question answered about halfway?
Yeah, that the board's going to have all the power and nothing to the fiscal.
Well, they will have the authority to work with the with the fund to access that money. I mean, that's really the only authority I see that the Industrial Development Authority doing, is helping the community because of the language in this statute. Otherwise, you can't access that money. I don't know why it was set up like that. That's just an extra step for a community to have to go through. I mean, I don't know why a city or a county government couldn't just access that money straight from the Economic Development Cabinet or somewhere, but it just wasn't set up that way. and it has to go through an economic development authority. That's just an extra step that was just put in the statute. And I can't explain why it was done that way. Any other questions?
Everybody will remember your vote, guys. Next time.
Well, let's hope
You'll
so.
have a lot to think about.
If we get a big project here, I hope they do remember it.
You're putting all this in the same the hands of the guy that's been over real properties and hasn't done anything in years and years and years. You're putting your faith. Why is it so important that you get a pick, John? Like a lot of these people that have talked today, they might not be against this in the long run. Once we get to know about it, and once we get to read a lot more about it, and the public, gets clued in, it might be a good thing for Morgan County. My simple question is, why is it so important that you get to pick all 6 people right before you leave office?
Well, Miles, I didn't write the statute. That is just
That's
the way
not the
the
question.
statute's written. I'm
That's
sorry.
not the question.
I'm sorry.
You're a very, very good politician. I'll give you that. But you're not. Why is it so important that you get a pick?
All right. Why is it so important the next guy gets to pick?
Because the next guy.
Was he elected by any different group of people than me? No, it's all
John,
the same
when I asked you, I said when we did freedom of information request that you
Miles,
denied.
can I?
You wouldn't even tell the county. You wouldn't even answer what interest that you and your family have with Morgan County. You said it was none of our business. I have that in writing. Why would we want you picking? Why would we want a guy who's kept this inside their pocket since July?
Now, Miles, wait just a
If
minute.
this was so important, why didn't you clue people in on it?
Hey, Miles.
Why does it have to be right now at the end of December when you've known about it for 6 months?
Hey, Miles. You just made one outlandish statement right after that.
Did you just say I made an outlandish statement because I have it in writing?
Yes.
Miranda, I want to give you some stuff after the meeting.
Look, Miles.
You just lied on camera. You just said that I didn't ask you about the interest situation and you and your family.
About the what?
And you denied it.
About the what? You asked me what?
I did a freedom of information request, and I said we were voting on stuff that got very close to what I thought was interest that you had personally that you share with Morgan County.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the prison.
What's he talking about?
Do you
I'm talking about.
Just a minute. What?
Do you remember when those claims, there was 2 claims that were held, and there was a request, it was after that, back around the time you had your heart attack, you were out of here for 2 minutes. That's when it was.
And what were those 2 things?
We had held those 2 bills, and that's what started it.
Which 2 bills were those?
Miles's, because we had questioned what the origin of those, because they were something that hadn't previously been submitted. You had
Miles's
your
bills?
heart attack. Yes, that's when that request
Well,
started.
you want to answer
I'm
that?
just saying that's when that request was. That's when that.
Well, I requested to know.
Because
I requested to know
She's saying-
what interest that your family shares with Morgan County, and the attorney that you retained,
Are you
Steve
talking about some
O'Connor.
kind of a ownership interest in property or something?
Yes, any equity interest. I asked you
In what?
that you share with Morgan County.
You mean that I have a half interest and Morgan County has a half interest?
John, you're acting dumb.
No, I'm trying.
You're acting dumb, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking
Okay, so during the last administration, you came and said, "I'm going to give this land to Morgan County."
Oh,
but,
is that what you're talking about?
But if you ever make any money off of it, I want half. Okay.
Well,
so
Miles-
he spent 4 years basically developing this property and using state resources and county resources. Okay. You've got a whole new way up around back. You've done the gas pipes. Okay. Everything is basically benefiting you. So I asked you. I said, could you tell us officially what interest that you might have? Because as a magistrate and as a judge executive, Morgan County policies and procedures say that you need to state all the interests that you have, and you shouldn't vote on anything that you have an interest in.
All right, and we haven't.
So why did you deny the freedom of information request that asks you a very simple question? What interest do you have or equity do you have that aligns with Morgan County? Why would that not be in people's
Well, I can
interest?
tell you right now, Miles, we have not taken any official action whatsoever.
It's not the question. Man.
Well, I'm not sure
Can't-
what
can't
you're
get it.
asking, but I can tell you one thing, we have not taken any official action that would benefit me or any other member of this court.
Well, I didn't say any other member.
Well, I'm saying that we all haven't done that.
Why didn't you think that the public had a right to know what interest that you
So
have that are allowed in Morgan
Do
County?
you just want to know what I
I'm just
own?
asking you, why don't you think that we have a right to know?
Do you just want to know what I own? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that was the question. It was a very simple question.
All right, I don't.
It's very simple for me, Miles. What do you have that's aligned with Morgan County? Nothing.
I don't know what
What do
you
you
mean
have?
by aligned with Morgan County. Now, if you want to define that, maybe I can answer your question. I'll be glad to.
Do you not know?
I don't know what you're asking, no.
So you don't remember bringing it to the fiscal court during the last, when Stanley was in,
I know
and you
what
gave
you're
your
talking about. When
property?
Stanley was here, the fiscal court never took any action on
That
that.
was
No, they took it in.
No, they didn't.
They took it in.
No, they didn't.
They took it in.
I'll tell you what, you go back and look at the records from 4 years ago.
Well, they took it in.
didn't. They didn't.
You can say no.
Well, all
All
right,
you
I'm not
want.
asking you to, I'm not asking you to take my word for it.
I'm not.
I'm asking you to go back and look at the fiscal court meeting.
I was there. I was there.
Well, you better go look at the minutes.
We went in the back room and I said it's a bad idea, and you come out and you did it.
Were you on the court? Were you on the court?
4 years ago?
Yeah, Rand was on
Taking
here.
action on that?
What property are you talking about?
It was at the very end of Stanley's term, and John Will come and presented it, says, I'm giving this to you all. The fiscal court signed off on it, and there is a thing that says John Will gets half if there's any money that ever
It was
comes from
never
it.
signed. We pulled the
It was
contract.
never-
It was
it
never.
was-
Well, it was
Miles-
voted
It was
on.
never completed.
It was voted on.
Hey, Miles.
So are you saying no? So the answer to the question is, you don't have any property that you and Morgan County have any equity interest together?
You knew that I have some kind of joint interest or joint interest at all? with
Any equity
Morgan
interest
County?
whatsoever?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because the thing that.
Well, why didn't you answer that when the Freedom of Information request come through?
I don't know about a federal freedom of information request, but now.
So you didn't hire Steve O'Connor?
Of course.
Oh. Well, then how did you not know about it? Why would you hire an attorney just for
So
nothing?
you don't want me to hire an attorney, you just want to be.
No, you can hire-
You want to be the attorney that accuses everybody of something?
You
and then-
can hire
and you
an
wanna be my
attorney anytime
too?
you want to, but you don't have a right to hire him under Morgan County.
Well, I've
And the
got a
question
right.
was,
Hey,
what
Miles.
interest do you have aligned? And you wouldn't answer it.
Hey,
I have
Miles.
it in writing. You said,
Miles.
we do not have a right to know.
Don't take my word for it. Just go look at the minutes from 4 years ago or 5 years
It's
ago.
like
or whatever
gaslighting.
it was.
You act like,
Can we move on with the rest
You
of
act
the
like
agenda?
this.
Yeah, Miles.
This is going
Miles,
nowhere.
one last thing. Look. This line of questioning is way out of line. Look, first of all.
I have the obligation
No,
to
you
protect
don't.
Morgan County's interests.
You don't have an obligation to ask me.
I have an
what I
obligation to
own.
protect Morgan County's interests.
You don't have an obligation to ask.
You've
me
been out for
what
John
I
Will
own.
Stacy since day one.
No, I
You
haven't.
ain't running over me.
Well, I'm not trying to run over you.
You
I'm trying
have.
to
You've tried for 4
I'm trying to
years.
explain.
That's why Earl Rogers' name's on this and mine's
I'm asking you,
not.
Miles, just go look at the fiscal court meetings. I didn't have anything to do with those.
Yeah, I had a conversation. Are you calling me a liar? When we sat in that room back there and you presented this?
Miles, the only thing I'm asking you to do is go check the minutes of the fiscal court
It's
meeting
ridiculous.
You gonna shut 'em up?
from
It's
4 or
ridiculous.
5 years ago, whenever that was done.
It's ridiculous.
You look at the minutes. I didn't keep the minutes. That was done by a different fiscal court. Just go look at the minutes.
I was
That's all
there.
that-
I don't have to look at anything, John.
Okay.
You're not going to gaslight me. I was here before you. I'll be here after you.
Okay, that's good. Well, I suggest you go look at the minutes.
I suggest you start telling the truth.
I
And
am
maybe
telling
if we're giving each other advice, why don't you start telling the truth and I'll look at some minutes?
Why don't you just go look at them then? That'd be good. Because I would say that those records are better than your memory at this point.
Are you saying that we didn't have, or are you saying that this didn't happen? That you didn't come and present this? It didn't happen?
Lindsay, what happened?
I
I don't know the entirety of it. It was presented. I know when
It was presented.
you took office, that was one of the things we looked into about disclosing. And when we pulled the contract, it was not complete. There was all the information there. It was not signed by either party.
Miles,
That was what we determined.
I
And those
think-
were Linda's records.
Miles, I think that is correct, right? Just what she said.
That is the best of my
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, all you have to do is go look at the record, because it is in the minutes of the meeting, so
Yeah.
that's the official record.
Just for the record, do you have the ability to sign resolutions that the fiscal court has not voted on? Do you remember when I found the resolution that you signed that the fiscal court hadn't voted on?
What was that?
It was like 6 months ago. It was the, I think you'd hired somebody or something. You remember we talked about it? I guess you don't remember that?
Who was it?
I have it at my office. It was a resolution that I found that we never could find any correlation with the fiscal court vote. I talked to you about it. You said, "Well, I didn't know that, Miles. I didn't know I couldn't do that." And then we rescinded it. You don't remember that? Well, we have very selective memories in
Well,
this
Miles,
administration.
if you've got that at your office,
I will.
just bring it in, and if the action was improper, we'll rescind it. That-
Well, it's already been rescinded. I found it, we rescinded it.
Okay, well, good.
The point is, that proves that you shouldn't be the person that's deciding all this.
Do what?
Yeah, can we just do this till the 19th?
Yeah.
Just do this till the
I just
19th?
want everybody to know, I want
Make
the
a
people
motion,
to be
we just
here.
do this till the 19th and then.
That'd be good.
Table it till the 19th.
Well, we don't have to do anything today. We don't have to have any
Okay,
official
yeah.
action today, so
Okay,
that's it.
yeah.
There is one thing I'd like to ask though, John.
Yes.
When you do this, if it does pass, will you be the one point, all the ones at the beginning? And how
Yes.
many will that be altogether?
Yes, it'll be
Yeah.
6.
6. Could we not let the city be involved in that?
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you this.
I'm just saying, I'd like to involve the city.
I'll be glad,
Yeah.
but here's the only issue.
It's appointed by the
Is-
judge.
It has to be appointed by the judge, but I'll be glad to work with the mayor,
Well, yeah,
to come up with a
sit down
couple of
with him
members
and
that
then
he
just-
thinks.
I mean, we can always change this. I mean, this is the ordinance, you can change it.
Well,
you
this
can add it
is,
to the city.
this appointment process is set by statute, by state statute. That's the only issue.
That's-
Look, I'll be glad.
You're gonna agree on an ordinance, you're not gonna agree on people, you're just gonna say, you're gonna agree on 6 people appointed the way it is. You won't be in my understanding, just, that they'll be voting on the ordinance, not on the people.
Exactly.
Right, on the ordinance itself. I'm not talking about the people. I was just wondering how many are going to be.
Well,
Carter.
you said we'll be voting, I wanna make sure that you're
Carter.
doing that.
I'll be glad to talk with him about it and try to come to some accommodation about, we find a couple of people that suit him.
Yeah, because I mean, the city would need to be involved, I would think.
Does his first reading still hold today or no?
Yes, this is the first reading. All right. The next item is the budget transfers.
I'm gonna make this quick. I've got budget transfers that are necessary to make everything balance with our spending limitation with our 65%. So I do need approval on these transfers.
I make the motion.
Second.
Okay. Randy, make a
Carter
motion,
Bowen?
second, call the roll.
Donnie Keaton?
Yes.
Darrell Patrick?
Yes.
Brandon Evans?
Yes.
John Bull Stacy?
Yes. Okay, next item is a budget ordinance amendment.
I've got a budget amendment in the amount of $618,964.17. 2 of those items are prior year carryover, and one of those items added is where we closed the real properties and have started the transfer process. Those are local accounts that were closed in real properties. I do need action on this as well.
So you say the properties that are closed on real, or what's
The bank
closed?
accounts.
Okay, well, that could be a problem because Real Properties is being sued right now. They are a member of a lawsuit. It's the masonry people that was subcontracting for the wellness center. Evidently, somebody didn't get paid. They sued
within the amount
the
that
other
y'all-
masonry, and then Morgan County was joined as a lawsuit in that. So if Real Properties is basically getting rid of their assets and shedding everything, what happens if they are found liable for any sort of
Here's the answer.
whatever in this lawsuit?
They have filed suit against Real Properties and the counties. Real Properties is transferring that money to the county, and if, and of course, the county would be held liable.
Then the county would be liable instead of Real Properties. That was the whole reason that Real Properties was created, was to shield the county from first of all, the
so they
oversight,
could
and then the
participate in the
liability.
new market
So
tax
now
credit.
that
That's why
we're in
it
a
was
lawsuit,
created.
No, Mark,
it's gonna be given back.
you're wrong. It was not created for that. And it was created so that the county, that we could take care of the new market tax credits. That's the reason.
That was part of it.
Well, that's my understanding. I wasn't here then, but.
This is only a portion of the accounts. This is not everything. There's still money in Real Properties in two different.
Are you gonna make the guarantee that there's gonna be enough money in there
How
to
much
cover
are they
any?
suing for?
It's open-ended. They have to prove
Is there,
damages.
then can anybody, I can guarantee there's up to a certain dollar amount that we have, and if it exceeds that, then it falls on the fiscal court anyway. It's as broad as it is long because they are one and the same.
Well, no, Real Properties in Morgan County is not the same. That's they separated it.
So is that why?
So if somebody done something wrong on Real Properties, Morgan County shouldn't be held responsible for it. So if you combine, if you say, okay, let's put them back in together, then you are making Morgan County responsible for conceivably something that was done that shouldn't have been done by the members of Real Property Board.
In the bylaws, it does fall back on Morgan County Fiscal Court, in the bylaws.
But the liability would stay if somebody did something wrong in Real
That's here nor
Properties.
there. There's still money.
It is nor there. You're on the board.
The county
You're on the
and Real
board.
Properties, Miles.
I mean, you're all on the board of this.
I've been on the board since I started.
Wouldn't it, I mean, it'd be great if
They have sued the county and Real Properties.
I understand.
So
So if Real Property shuts down,
the county's still gonna be liable because they're still sued the county.
that's very convenient to shut it down when you're on the board of it, when the lawsuits start.
I recall.
Were you not throwing a fit that it wasn't closed like 3 months ago?
It should have been closed.
This is, okay, and that's
It
what
should
we're
have been
trying to
closed
do,
in
and now
29
it's an issue.
Do you
You
wanna-
can't have it both ways.
You don't,
Do you want
I don't know
us to-
why you're yelling. You're trying to have a
Do you want us
It's
conversation.
only okay for you to yell, right?
No,
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah, yeah.
Wait just
So
a
am
minute, Lindsay, that's enough. Now look, we're all adults here and we represent a bunch of really good people in this community. And there's no use in us fighting like a bunch of kids.
I don't want to fight. I want the next
All right.
administration to have a chance.
Let's do this. Let's transfer the money because the county is just as liable for it as Real Properties is. And the county will have the money, and let's move forward. Miles, she's right about one thing, and everybody on this court can recall this. It hadn't been 2 months ago that you were arguing that we should shut it down.
It needs to be shut down in a way that doesn't open Morgan County up to liability.
All right.
And I'll put it this way, and then I'll be quiet.
All right, well,
If something goes down and somebody's left holding the bag, I guarantee you it won't be Morgan County. It'll be the independent members of the Real Properties Board when Morgan County sues you.
No, Miles,
You can say no all you want to. It'll be up to Judge Phillips.
no.
Judge Stacy?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. In light of the multiple failed audits, maybe the county should consult with a private CPA or someone who specializes in government accounting before this is done?
Miles, if you will recall in response to his question, when you talked about this 2 or 3 months ago, and you said that you wanted to take some action to close down Real Properties because it was the counties. You recall that? You said that it was the counties?
Yes.
And the county should have it?
Yes.
Well, we agree.
Yes.
And so we've been trying to do that, and so we're going to shut it down. We're going to move the money, wait just a minute, move the money from Real Properties to the county, so that's all the assets there are other than the building. So if you want to hold the building as the asset that could be gone back against Real Properties, I think a $9 million building would surely stand good.
Now, I prefer to go after the board members.
For a Well, you
Wait a
won't,
minute.
you won't be in charge of
That
that.
includes Mark,
Wait a
so.
minute. Now, the board-
If anybody's, listen,
There
if
you
I've
go.
done something wrong, then somebody needs to come after me.
Miles,
There you
No,
go.
if somebody's,
I'm down a little bit of the conversation here, but I can tell you, this was a situation where a subcontractor get paid by a contractor.
no, I understand.
Okay.
But I'm not-
It has nothing to do with the board.
I don't think you're listening. I understand that.
I wouldn't took.
They just,
I would took.
they added us. What I'm saying is, I don't want I don't want Morgan County to be left holding the bag of what.
Well, this isn't the entirety of what's in Morgan County Real Properties. This is what is in our local accounts, and this is $46,000 that I'm asking to amend into our budget when these accounts are closed. I would like to take a vote on that, please.
All right.
Somebody make a motion or
we have a
something.
motion,
I'll make a motion.
we have a second.
Second.
All right, call the roll.
Carter Bolden.
No.
Donnie Keaton.
Yes.
Darryl Patrick.
Yes.
Brandon Evans.
Yes.
Yes.
John Wall Stacy.
Now, Miles,
Now, that's a motion to approve the first reading.
all right, is there anything else, Lindsay?
Adjourn.
All right, I want to say one more thing, and then we're going to adjourn. Daniel,
Yes, sir.
you and Mark, I appreciate you guys coming today, and I appreciate, the questions. There's nothing wrong with any of those questions, okay?
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
And Miles, I appreciate how adamant you are. There's nothing wrong with that, and I appreciate you doing your job. But I'm going to tell you, nobody on this court wants to do anything that is even remotely wrong.
Actions speak louder than words.
We spend half our time trying to figure out how to do something and keep it legal.
Well,
So anyway,
do you not think it would have been a good idea to tell people about this in July?
I'm trying to tell you something,
You're like, it has to be done right now. It has to be done right now.
Miles.
Why didn't we know about it in July?
I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to tell you that we appreciate you being here today, and we appreciate your words and your counsel, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, John?
Yes.
We don't think we voted on the minutes of the last meeting, did we?
It's not on the agenda.
No, no,
We'll
no.
get them in
We don't have
December.
Okay. Handed it to me, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next item is adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Has there been another meeting
Everybody's fine.
scheduled at this time?
Huh?
Has there been another meeting scheduled at this time?
All yay.
Yes, all, everybody's in favor.